Welcome, it's the Crypto Sniper. Yep, and we're taking a look at Bitcoin today. We're going to take a look at HBAR, we're going to take a look at XRP and XLM. By the way, so I haven't said it always as clearly, but the ISO20022 coins are clearly the status chosen ones. The word is out on what was required. There was a standard set. Other tokens in that category, Algo, Quant, Ethereum, who's not doing particularly well in the alt sphere, it has to be said, and a number of others, all in that group. So go and do a little search for that list. You might want to put them on. But we assess that we've got currently some of the best. One I haven't mentioned in there that we're expecting incredible things out of. But XLM, XRP, probably the shining stars, I think, of that. Don't forget XRP has a bigger market cap, so XLM probably to overperform XRP, but on much thinner volume as it expands its market cap. So be careful. The outright percentage gains aren't always the absolute best, because sometimes you need to sell in a hurry too. And liquidity matters, performance matters on getting in and out. And also in those in-between periods, the pullbacks are far harsher. In other words, there's less bid and offer stack in the ladder in those particular occasions. I'm busy watching Bitcoin and I'm busy talking about Bitcoin. Let's go to that chart right now, because it's currently done a look one way, go the other way, and it looked like it's about to get above 100,000. In fact, we're sitting here watching it as it is doing that. So that's literally just happened up top there. That was a typical candle. So we've had a period of dollar strength as well. That's part of the reason why this came down so hard. And that was sort of black days. And that got us talking about beware the possibility of the macro head and shoulders. I see that macro head and shoulders abating. It is already higher than this. So if that was the full and only shoulder, it's already smaller. Wow, it has moved now. It's gone quite a bit, because when I started it was 99. And if we just get a bit more of the picture in here, it's already higher than this point, which was our working left shoulder. So it's looking like that risk is abating immensely. So what scenario do we put forward now? Given that that threat came like a bubble, a big red bubble that loomed, could we be next pushing itself into that channel of events into the top in the front? It's now faded a bit back and we've got more of a green. What typically follows this instead? We would imagine a squaring up event. In other words, where you do something like that, a constriction, a squeeze after giving us a secondary higher. I don't think you're going to just go straight and run a new high. It's possible, can happen. It's not an absolute outlier, but it's less probable. What we're more likely to see is a move up to a secondary high, back into the hundreds, mid 100s, and we might pause again. The dollar strength, I think, is not gone entirely. It's having a rest period, but I think it will resume. That will be determined by the US tenure and other things. And don't forget, we've got the inauguration not too far off now. We're the 6th of January. That comes on the 20th. There's some pre-rumors and things that will be flying around that could happen. But if you were to get something really large, like the announcement of the US being active buyers, not just holding on to their Bitcoin that they've already confiscated from everybody they've stolen from because of criminal activities, maybe being outright buyers in Bitcoin and being the backstop for Mikey Saylor's Ponzi scheme, which he probably has inside information on. He's rubbing shoulders and going to Mar-a-Lago a lot. So these guys are all Secret Service assets. Your president, Saylor, all the people that handle them, and then the dark families that give instructions to the handlers. This is how you have to view all of these things. And yeah, right now, this looks like a good break over here. So we put in the dark blue line, the dotted line. That was the 100K level. And we also had a 93K lighter blue line that was also the possible neckline for downside. And it served as support in all occasions. So let's go back. Pink, support, just run, support, just run, support. Threatened to run but didn't. Support again, just run. over here, a reasonable amount of breakthrough and run, but then again support, and that was the final support that we needed to see, and Bitcoin reversed. A little bit of a W bottom in there as well, pop, 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 like that. So you had a little bit of action there. And overall it's making upside across the board right now. You also had continuation, so we shared this inside the community. It looked like upside continuation that was likely to come out of this. Let's have a look at it. That was the first draw of it. As you were heading up, that looked like a flag. We typically draw the red line on the line we expect breaking. So the overall expectation was a takeout of that level to go further to the upside, which it has promptly done. And of course, now it's going through 100K, which is up top there. So these are the reworks, and this is a real triggering event right now. So the dollar weakness, softness, I don't want to say absolute weakness, but certainly some of the steam coming out of that dollar weakness is we're getting a real rejection and pump candle now. We're already almost 101K. So let's go up a time frame and say, how do we go bullish from this if this is not to be the original warning that we provided on the macro head and shoulders, and what does this mean for our other tokens? So you were a bit range constrained for the Christmas period. So I want to also highlight a couple of things here. Let's deal one thing at a time. I think we get a secondary high somewhere here, and then maybe we drift off a little bit and pause, and we could set up. It depends how aggressively bullish things turn out. If we're waiting till the inauguration before there's some form of an announcement, this could be early doors creeping. If this is early doors leaking of, strategic fund active buying by the US, that's one of the scenarios where you will just trade higher. You'll just walk out and strongly. If there's somewhat bullishness, but nothing explicitly stated at the inauguration yet, but certainly an emphasis is swinging. We want to be at the forefront of crypto. He's already said that. That won't be new, but if he repeats it, that could be the push up to the secondary high where people say not new, but still sticking to the line of bullishness. That's when we might get a continuation pattern before we eventually get the breakout to the upside. So depending on what is going down and what politically will come out of Trump's inauguration and any speech he makes or any news around that, it'll be very interesting. Just another interesting point as well, while we're talking technically on Bitcoin, let's pull it right through. For those that say, that your head and shoulder hasn't worked, it's a scenario. It's not a forecast. We have multiple scenarios that exist at all times. Some bully their way to the front and then fade back instead of going into the tube and popping out this and giving you your moment. And this, we've already had a head and shoulders. For those that say that there's been no head and shoulder and none have worked, you already had what we call the monarch head and shoulder, the very first at the real high. And we actually called this to our community's attention as and when it happened. And it broke and it made targets in the end. And it was interesting how that target in a straight line capped all of this. And this was another reason why we were confident this continuation would break, because you'd seen resistance each time at the target of that head and shoulder. And of course, you didn't get the 100K on any of them. So you had that continuation just before a key level needs to be broken. So it's a pullback, a breath, get your strength up and then smash it. That's what happened. You went up to the level, technically break it, short pullback, pump. It's typical price behavior. Break the 99.5. So we've got a hard blue line. Now the hard light blue line at 99.5, that's just before the border where you tend to break key levels of resistance with real momentum after you first tested them. So that's a smashing candle. It's a triggering event back into the 100Ks. So what do we possibly have here? Well, it just looks like a range trade from the 92, 93s and the soft floor, and then you had the target as a soft ceiling, and then you had this as a harder ceiling, the light blue, and we've actually range traded our way out of that, and we're getting back north of the 100K for a while. So I expect that to follow through and continue. Where was a possible point where you might resist, go through, and then find support? Somewhere here. And you could find support on the 103.5, the legacy neckline of the monarch head and shoulders up top there. So I think we go up and we run this. we make some form of secondary high, not higher. However, anything super bullish gets released between now and the inauguration, and maybe you do get that all-time high walkout. I'm not quite sure that's the case. I'm going to go into you re-establish in this zone for a while before we later get a bit of a pullback again on dollar strength returning. We aren't done with the dollar strength. In my opinion, that's something you need to watch the rates for. We do that both on the Market Sniper and inside our community. So, yep, welcome again to the new year. If you didn't see the previous video, that's a good break from Bitcoin. But what are we looking to talk about? Well, we're actually talking about more the other tokens. And what I'm highlighting here is we've got a number of particular draws for upside HVFs that could actually see you running the 350 or the 310. This looks like it's going to start playing a bit of catch up slower. So initially you lead with Bitcoin. That drives Bitcoin dominance typically. You can see the Bitcoin dominance is coming down. This is the inversion. So that means Bitcoin dominance is actually going up. You see the numbers getting smaller. So you're getting a little bit of that. But in the longer run, we expect it to go to the upside. You've already broken now. This is a turn call that we've made on this. On the Bitcoin dominance. I'm just going to remove that for now. So since we've turned, and it's quite dangerous to call reversals, by the way. So it's a big call. Most things are continuation. And the breakout there, the return move up. And this little red candle is Bitcoin leading now, but we expect the others to overperform once they start to follow. So this is going to be a good period for the alts. And who do we like? We like XLM, we like XRP, and we're going to talk to you about HBAR as well, potentially. So let's go back to the XRP. Possible 3.42 target. I would imagine a 350 run on this version of draws. We have multiple versions of draws. Come and see all our potential versions of draws. We know when we will be able to lock them in and know which one. So we're staying flexible on targets for now. To join the community and find out about all those levels of draws, click the link below to book a call. Or if you just want to have a sniff and kick the tires, grab the free mini course. Some of you are having registration issues. If you have any registration issue, email support@themarketsniper.com. support@themarketsniper.com. The guys will get you set up so that you can receive your daily video with a mini course. These are super short. The thing I never managed to do. It's like YouTube shorts. They're quick and they're easy to watch. We intentionally made them small and in little bite-sized chunks. You can digest them one a day, or you can accelerate and request the accelerate if you're enjoying it and keep going through. Okay, so what else have we got for you? XRP, good. Let's talk about XRP BTC then, because that's an interesting thing that people might want to know about. Which one is better? Well, initially BTC leads. However, inside here, it looks like there was another MicroStrategy story. Expands Bitcoin's holding, buying another 1,000 Bitcoin. They're going to keep trying to create pumps by another 1,000. That's chicken feed, truth be told. And they're just saying, we're always here, we're always ready to buy, we've got bottomless pockets, we're going to leverage to the moon, we'll leverage our stock, we'll leverage everything, we'll keep getting debt markets to give us more leverage. We're a Bitcoin leverage fund, and we'll keep adding and scaling the leverage to infinity. This is a one-way bet. Yeah, that's what you're going to hear out of MicroStrategy. And you know what? They'll be right for a long time, and Bitcoin will go up for a long time. If the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds and the legacy families decide to say, tell you this is money and it is worth that much, and they treat it as such, you'll be forced to treat it as such as too. It doesn't mean it's your freedom. But for now, I'm a little more circumspect, and I prefer trading the ones that are going to outperform Bitcoin on a longer term holding, and this is having a pullback, XRP. But it too had a very clear draw pattern, so let's just do it again and clean our face a little bit. So this is XRP versus Bitcoin. Note that first move. We're on a 4-hour time frame. It's not the largest, but you have that over there as a possible triangle, and you've already had a break and you've just come back. You've done a pullback. Because of that dollar strength, you got a little bit of a pullback issue. You made your first interim. You see that's very faint dotted line. That's over there. The next stopping point is over here. There is a fib on there as well for point of interest. Those are all the other lines, so we'll just take that off to reduce the noise. That's the second interim, that's the first, and the target will take you past the previous high. it will take you past the previous high, meaning an XRP buys you 3,347 sats. Sats, by the way, Satoshis, have been now added to the dictionary. There you go. How you rewrite history as a meaningful thing, named after the man. The entire myth completely constructed and made up by some PSYOP team. Skunkworks in the NSA, Mossad, having all sorts of people where they will control the future money and continue to monopolize and do all that they do. Now writing the names where they use Santa Claus and other fairy tale names for new valuation. And everyone will go, the Tooth Fairy, I want to have X amount of Satoshis, which is like saying the Tooth Fairy, because the big god in the sky of the Mossad agency decided you must use Tooth Fairy. And there you go. So we'll all be using Tooth Fairy Satoshis as a broken instrument for the 8th decimal place. Never mind, we'll laugh and we'll not take it too seriously. I'll rather say the 8th decimal place on the PSYOP money that is Bitcoin, brought to you by the Secret Service agencies. You will never have your own money. You will never have your own money. In fact, we should probably call the 8th Satoshi not your money. But nonetheless, let's not go too far down there. So quite a big move actually, because you're at about 2,400, 2,410. So move to 33.47. You're at 24. That's 12 by 2. You're almost getting to 36. Not quite. So it is like a 50% overperformance to Bitcoin. So call it a 40%, 40%, maybe 45% overperformance to Bitcoin. Doesn't look too bad. I imagine XLM will do a little bit more in percentage terms. This is Hedera though. Let's talk about that. Also, not entirely proportionate, but these are all throwing down HVF structures. Boom, boom, bosh. Hedera looking pretty damn decent over there. We'll talk about proportionality. You can find out all about what we mean in that by booking a call and watch us implement in the market as and when it happens. So a little test to the downside and a coming back up. We call that 1/2 of a kettle drumsticks when you range define. It probably means a stop there could be good, especially if Bitcoin keeps moving, has now broken into the 100, is on the bullish half of the 100K now, and up she goes. The waning risk of the head and shoulder on the macro, the pullback done, a bit of a rest on the dollar, but it could be for a spell. So you get Bitcoin getting away a little bit, Trump, all the optimism of what he might say. Now that everybody is focusing on the new year ahead, it's the next big milestone. So it's going to be in line of sight in a big way. So a triggering event would be round about the 32.3896. I'm already in personally, and I think you could be looking at 47 cents. 47 cents, not too bad on 32. So these are all measuring around the same amount, which gives me a reasonable amount of encouragement. We're talking about 50%. 32 to 47, you're going to take 15 off. 15 is roughly half the 32. Again, not quite the 50, but possible overperformance might deliver that. So there's a good little surge. Then maybe the dollar dominance comes back. The USD Korean won starts going even higher on that, and the rates on the 10-year start going higher. You get parked off a little bit. Who knows? Maybe you could have a major drama reset on debt, or that also gets pushed down. That is a scenario that has a 99% absolute mathematical factoid about it happening. We just can't tell you when. So it exists as this big red ball waiting to get into the tube where it comes out at the bottom here, and that's your explosion and your right here now moment. So is it getting queued? Not yet, it seems. If these are to get away with 50%, I don't feel that's going to be happening in that environment. However, the patterns could fail and it could rush into the top of the tube and quickly come down. And then all these patterns could fail. But typically patterns form with a reasonable probability of outcomes. So normally they make it, but who knows, events, contagion could happen. So HBAR looking decent as well for upside, 47 cents. All good, all good, all good. And then we will go to, who else are we going to show you today? This is HBAR against Bitcoin. So I wanted to do this in more fullness and show you again against BTC. BTC had a bit of strength now, so it's not such a great candle right now, but don't forget it's being compared to a real mover, a real belt hold mover on this chart over here. We were on the 8 hour. Let's make them all the same time frame so that the scale is the same. It's a real mover of a candle. You just broke the 99.5 and the 100 in a major breakout, as we predicted. Upside continuation here on this upside move, which had quite a lot going for it. Okay, so I'm going to be taking you back to XRP in a moment, but let's carry on with this process. So HBAR BTC still holding its own, still managing a green candle in spite of that, because HBAR itself has gone down and come all the way back up. So a triggering event could happen there, and then 50% moves for Hedera against US dollar. What will this mean against Bitcoin? So 308 sats to 480. Now that again, call it 310 to 480. That's quite a big move. It's about 170 on 300. That's a little bit more than 50%. It's probably points that if this does take place without any further downward slippage because of Bitcoin's strength, remember it's hash graph against Bitcoin here, and Bitcoin's looking pretty sturdy. Assuming it doesn't go a little lower first, which we'll continue to adjust. We've just taken the low point as it stands. You're probably going to get a bigger percentage move out of it. It makes sense compared to XRP because the market cap is smaller. XLM and HBAR, hash graph, are both pretty similar of market cap. They're number 16 and number 17, if I stand corrected, or maybe number 15 and number 16. Let's just clarify that. So XLM is 16, and I think HBAR is 15. 18. Okay, 16 and 18. So something's popped in there. HBAR was in fact 17. Who's 17? Let's have a look. Polkadot has just squeezed ahead of HBAR. They were concurrent, so it was 16 and 17. DOT has pushed its way in front with a slightly stronger performance of late, but they were very, very close. So these are still inside the top 20, and we're back-to-back similar market caps. You're talking 13 and 11 and a half for Stellar and XLM. So Stellar is possibly slightly bigger. You can see why HBAR gave a little bit more still, because it's on about 11, XLM's on about 13. Of course, XRP is quite a bit more, at 136 billion. That's quite a bit more, although it's a touch behind Tether now, which it has been ahead of in number 3 on and off. So they're very, very close. Bit of a Tether FUD season, so we'll see if that leads to anything else. Good. So as a result of this dollar weakness, I just thought I'd tie this one in, because I did tie the Korean one in a little bit with the Koreans having a crisis and being very potentially big buyers of XRP. Remember, the platforms in South Korea being huge volume on XRP, 10 times that of Ethereum and double that of Bitcoin. So someone's given them the heads up down there. They think they know who's a winner out of that lot, and they are getting in. But it's the crisis of the currency helps push them into XRP, and now we're getting a little bit of a pullback period. Dollar not so dominant, so a little bit of traditional market thrown in there for you. Gold a little bit skittish and down, should be doing better with the dollar weakness. So let's go back to XRP, because I want to really drill down on this one. So here's something as to why we were initially concerned, and then we doubled back in quite quickly. The ability to flip very quickly back in is important. It's not a weakness, it's not a frailty, it's not can't make up your mind. It's a recognition of risk when you're on high risk and when you are not, and then not taking the risk when you're on high risk with asymmetric losses without gains, and actually taking the risk when you are short risk with asymmetric upside. What happened? So with XRP, we became concerned with this continual drip out. So small little message. We became concerned with this drip out here. It was looking like it was going to threaten this. At the moment, it held. You know that in retrospect, but at the time, it wasn't known. We had a good structure up top here with this big sell-off, and we needed to see that this held. However, it dragged on, and then started to spill. It could have gone into a capitulation and run right through. That would have been the scenario where the Bitcoin head and shoulder might also have followed through. It didn't. Bitcoin didn't follow to the downside, important, and XRP just had a technical run of the two. Please note the two blue lines. This has been the story of the XRP trade so far. The $2 to the 250. There's very little time above the 250. These are small icebergs here at the 250. Note how you rejected there and put in a down leg after that. So it's been all about the 2 and the 250. And you can see it in the volume by price as well. The 70% zone, which is this, where it's dark, is this period or space here, this block of volume. That block of volume is the bulk of it. It's 70% of your volume. You got some there and you got some here, and it's not very big. So the bulk of the volume here, and you can see why there was a big pause period over there, and similarly you had a bounce over here. So getting messy, but these two levels are very, very important. In the same way, I expect XRP to leave 250 properly, and instead of just making a blow off high volatility spike above it, I expect it to trade higher and to get into the threes. The 3 will be the next level, and that's where even on our most negative draw we have a target through the 3s, and on the one I've been showing you, you might even have 350 in sight. The target is 342, bit of momentum, a bit of over push, and you could be very easily into the 350. See it here, also see it in our targeting box for where we are. So XRP, big move. Don't forget, it's sub 250. 350 is another dollar and some onto this. I don't know what it'll be by the time this video gets out. You could leave a comment and tell me. It takes us some time to finalize, edit, thumbnails, you name it, upload it, do all this additional work to get the aspects out to you. This is not something we do when we do updates in the community. You get a live update visual with me, and it comes out a lot quicker. But that's YouTube, and that's what you need to do to be successful in YouTube, and that's what we do. So we'll see. But overall, I think up. Can it run this low? Yes, that's also possible. It can come a little lower. So, I mean, this is a speculative scenario. It's not an absolute forecast. I will take what the market gives me. The market is right. This candle could get crushed. Bitcoin could sell off back down to the 100K, technically trade below it to get a 999, whatever, something, and then spin around it and pivot around it for a while before going up, or even have a deeper dip before going up. So that would have an effect, and that could bring XRP down if it were to do that. But don't forget, the XRP BTC is also in an upside setup, and as we predicted, around about 40+% overperformance to whatever Bitcoin tends to do. So with this run in now to the inauguration and the waning of the Bitcoin head and shoulders threat, this implies an altcoin, particularly for the ISO20022 Statist digital prison tokens, a very good possible spell. And the picks of these are XRP, XLM, and HBAR. Percentage terms, you might do better on the smaller cap ones. The safety of the liquidity, and certainly one that I expect to dominate immensely, is XRP though. So that trade remains very real for me. And of course, remember, XRP is in the macro setup that we drew for you a long time ago, before everyone else drew the break. We were telling you this was a trade almost too soon, that everyone kept on showing up on our channel and saying, when's it going to happen, that thing you said? We made sure everyone was aware before the time, and we updated a few times before the time. We're not one of the after the fact guys that drew some trend line, like some of these guys with big Twitter followings, and say, oh, now there's a break on XRP. Hey, why don't you get in at $2 or $1.70? No. We were telling you here, there is a possibility of a break. 60 cents breaking towards the 70. We were telling you this is the potential beginning of the move. And we were in this space all the way. Even on smaller windups over here, we were already watching. And they broke, then they retraced, got back into the holding pen for a while longer. We watched it, we didn't update, nothing to report. News before the news on this channel with HVF method. It's very easy to see triangle breakouts in a traditional technical analysis method long after the big green God candle is there. Can you draw a macro HVF well before it happens and give people notice so that they are put on watching remit and don't miss the possible trade? Big different story. So that's the XRP. Don't forget, on this setup, and I'm going to take some of these draws off. Let's just get rid of that one for a wee bit, and let's get rid of those Fibonacci's for a wee bit. We did quite a bit of Fibonacci analysis for you. What I'm going to show you again is the macro draw. And remember where the second interim is. We've told you this, and that's where it's likely to pause long term again. Don't forget what we said about $3.50 possibly on this current windup. It doesn't take a lot of overperformance, or maybe a super surge would be required, I don't know. But for you to get maybe even a $4.50 run, that's our second interim. If $3.50 is made and it does pull back, maybe we'll wind up again and then get the $4.50. I can't tell you every little stone on the road. I can tell you the path, the macro path to Rome. I can't tell you every twist and turn and where there will be a stone, a step, and where there won't. Where there will be a bit of slippery moss and where there won't. Things are dynamic, they change. But overall, right here, right now, you know we got our first major real pause period at $4.53. A bit of excitement news, a bit of overperformance, a real blow-off. You could blast the 350. You could even put $1 on that. Don't be caught without it in case it comes. So let's just turn the lights off there. That's where you are, and that's where the 4 is. It looks a lot closer than it is when we draw it like that, because it's a log scale. So please also remember, it doesn't have to do it in that view. That's your log scale. Now look at 450 and you'll see it is still some way off. It is still some way off. Even if you make the 350 to 450 is quite some way in terms of XRP progress. But super bull event on Trump's inauguration or news in the lead up to it, which sees him say something particularly bullish for crypto that may even mention the central banker's favorite, which has already been on use and testing with XRP, then you could have a super surge, and that could be the point where you break through. And remember, second interims, it's rare that it stops on the second interim. It runs through the damn thing. So were you to get a super surge, you could actually see 5 and some change on it. You could have a real runoff, real blast off, and then you could pull back. After the second interim, I would expect, though, has been run some element of pause. However, if it's not to be and they absolutely just go crazy and there's an XRP ETF, maybe you go all the way to 20. That's super bullish. I don't think that happens. I think typically all the way along you get pullbacks and periods. Look at this first break. Look how much we gave back on the wick, 290 all the way back down to just above 2. Remember our blue lines and support. So we continue to watch this. Let's go back to the log scale that we recognize. And there are possibilities, but I don't want to be caught short if you get any overperformance or mega moon stages, where real quantum shifts are announced and things that were speculation become fact. That's a dangerous thing to your not getting the profit you deserve. So remember the macro target through 20. Big move. I don't want to miss it. You've got to be in it to win it. Okay, so XRP looking good. The macro reminder, we turn the light back on, is the 1935, which to me almost invariably points to a likely 20. We're not wrong if it goes to 1999 and drops back down, because the target is 19.35. But it's very rare you stop on the dot to the target, and it doesn't take a lot of overperformance to deliver the $20. So 19.35 HVF breakout to the top side, and this current holding zone that everyone should be aware of is the $2 to the 250, and our statement is you're going to move to the zone very close to 350, if not 350, to the upside. So that could be super positive for XRP. Okay, I think we've said all we want to say on crypto today. You saw the Bitcoin probably an RH2, but if again super bullish, could walk out and take out a new all-time high. I think it could top and come back and wind up a little bit. It had quite a shock with the dollar strength, probably one of the biggest it's had so far recently, that sell-off. 108 down to the eventual low there at 91. So that was 9 grand onto 8. It's about 17 grand. I think it's your biggest pullback here, all part and parcel of this broadening structure that started to get a little bit tired by draw, and that's where you sort of needed to square up. But back to buoyancy, back to the PSYOP merchants of Sailor and everybody else, BlackRock and all the other ETF pundits, wanting you not to be in gold, wanting you to plead for your digital wealth in the digital ether on something you can't touch or really hold and require power and internet for, that they can certainly surveil and watch. They want you in there, and that's why he's a maxi and a cheerleader. We should all be grateful. A national treasure was how Michael Saylor was defined. Everybody who's a national treasure that I've ever heard recited as a national treasure was in largely status and captured. In most countries that I've heard that phrase used, it literally is an indictment of it. Who's to say who's a national treasure and not? Every time I've heard it, I'm usually disgusted by the person's role. He's a pro-system person, very much like Stephen Fry, for example, in the United Kingdom, with the super young boyfriend and, you know, the profile. People who know what I'm referring to. 101,492. So Bitcoin is the first mover. It's typical of a resurgence. It's typical of taking back a key level, and it's going to see Bitcoin dominance coming off, but the others shall follow, buy more when they move, be in the chosen ones, which are the ISO20022s, and I think they surpass the likes of Algo Quant. But remember, the lower market cap ones can suddenly surge, even if they come later, and give you bigger percentages. It's not just about the percentage. How volatile was the experience? How able are you to cope with that volatility? How liquid is your entries and exits? Absolute percentage number is no good if you don't get to stay the whole way for the ride and have clear technical targets with patterns. We know which ones are providing the patterns and give us confidence with targets. Something else that is just higher beta and will move too, but doesn't provide a target, a tight stop in a manner that HVF method setup does, which is what we have on XRP, which is why I will trade XRP, and I'll be quite happy to hear everyone else tell me they made 5 or 10% more by being an XLM HBAR, Quant, Algo, or any of the others that started moving later, are far less liquid and pull back much harder in the in-betweener pumps. Good for you. I know what I want out of this market. I know how to get it. If you want a method so that you too can have that level of conviction, click the link below, book a call, and we can't wait to start helping you. We've been committed to helping and prepare people for the reset season that is on. This is your digital prison. It is coming. The big debt crash, all of everything we've mentioned is going to come to 99% probability, in our opinion, on balance of probabilities, OBP. You need to be prepared for it, where you're going to be seeing out, maximize to the upside, and preserve that which you make. How are you doing all those things? This is the community that is focused on the maximization and preservation of the wealth that you will be building in these asymmetric reward upsides to tight limit downsides, if you know how to use the method and where to bring it to bear. That is the fact of where it is. Accelerated wealth. It's a shame that it's a speculator society. We don't value nurses. We don't value engineers. They aren't paid astronomical fees. I didn't ask for it to be that way, but if it's a speculator society, I will adapt, and I have adapted. I will establish method, and I have established method. I will establish process. I have established process. I will establish community. I have established community. I will establish an app, a platform, and everything else that's required to give high quality service to that community while serving myself and sharing that same information, because it's no extra work, because I'm doing something I love that is fully aligned to everything I believe, see, and think is coming. It's quite simple for me. I do what I love, I see it, I call it, and I frame for it. And if that resonates for you, then maybe you are part of our tribe and you know what to do to take it further. Till next time, thanks for watching. Catch you later. Bye.
Tired of profit wipeouts and blown accounts from following trade signal groups and other YouTube channels? Looking for a better way to trade, reduce your stress, and minimize your risk? Become a skilled technical analyst and see the charts and markets in a new light using the successfully proven HVF method by Francis Hunt, while being surrounded and supported by a principled, structured, and experienced community. Enjoy a constructive learning environment while practically trading markets, supported by a bespoke platform run through browser and app, specifically designed to teach and engage you whilst learning and growing as the markets move. This is not a Telegram or Slack signal group. All trade ideas are based on a proprietary technical analysis process honed over decades, which is the HVF method, leading to trade ideas with fast-moving breakouts and tight stops, exact entries and exits, nuanced interim considerations, and ultimately, strong rewards. Submissions are graded and scored by Francis for potential high-quality setups, and we provide bespoke tools to help get the job done properly and with precision. Over time and with focused effort, you'll begin to look at charts and price action just like Francis. Community updates every day by Francis and our 3 webinars a week provide a 360-degree approach, which are presented by our experienced team of trade leaders to spot potential trades. We're a community of self-actualized individuals, spanning the globe and active 24/7, 365. The premium community provides a warm, supportive, and cooperative place for people willing to listen, participate, contribute, and to learn. We've changed thousands of traders' lives. Transform your approach to trading now. Transform your life. Book an introductory call with us on the link below.